So, all these forces causing that. We've seen that they're invisible, but they manifest themselves in very visible, very physical ways, don't they? They metabolize into the physical us, this stuff here, our bodies. That's how Einstein saw us. He didn't see us as blocks of ice, those isolated chunks. He just saw us as congealed, sort of half-frozen steam. Now, Einstein, theoretically, was not a mystic. But we've also seen that yesterday's mysticism is today's elementary science. And therefore, today's mysticism will be tomorrow's elementary science. What we are is wavelengths, frequencies, pulses, rhythms, vibrations, things like that. That's all. It's all the same. The physical hunks, they're just projections. They're illusions. So, what's invisible or visible has nothing at all in common, nothing at all to do with what's real and what's unreal. Those are two different unrelated pairs of concepts, the visible and the invisible versus the real and the unreal. We've seen also that invisible body intellect. The body intellect, how the same materials in our brains that give us thought, reason, recall, logic, memory, all those things that we have always thought of as brain things, how they are in fact in every cell of our body, permeating every cell of our body. And so we build everything into them, don't we? The pains and the pleasures, the resistances to flow, the promotions as a flow. We build that all into the body intellect, and then that body intellect flips right around and builds us. We've spoken a little bit about another invisible force too. A mysterious energy that those old Indian mystics called Kundalini energy. We haven't talked much about it other than hinted that we're going to over the first 50 episodes of Energy Contact, but we're getting to the place where we're finally going to get to it in a lot of detail. So, as we proceed across the next number of episodes, we're going to start getting a little bit more out on the edge, out into the lands of chakras and auras and the mystical, things like that. But I'll always be able to tell you that before we did, I spent 50 episodes studying Western science, physical anatomy, Einstein, Newton, tangible things like that. But even though we're moving on, don't get the idea that we're leaving the science. We're the science, it's far from done. You'll see that the mystical is a lot more tangible and a lot more scientific than you ever thought it was. Today, we're starting our investigation of the channels, the pipelines that pleasure and pain flow through. We've seen the anatomy of it, and today we're going to see some more anatomy, plenty more. We'll keep seeing anatomy as we go along. But if mass and energy are the same, then there must be other pipes and channels, energetic ones, other things that we can't see with our physical eyes, things that in fact aren't physically definable at all, but that are every bit as real, if not more so. So, we looked at all of those things that we can see, and we concluded that they are all built up out of all the things that we can't see. In fact, we're going to see that the physical part of us, this stuff, this is the more unreal part. Einstein knew that. It's a hologram of sorts of the invisible energetic world. It's an optical illusion. It's the energetic world of wavelengths, of flows and frequencies. That's all. That's all that's real. The frozen steam that Einstein explained so clearly. Yet most people, including people who study Einstein, including people who teach Einstein, somehow choose to ignore. So today is a very busy day for us then. Today we're just throwing a bunch of information at you. It'll all seem to be disjointed first. We're going to assemble it all later. Not much today, more so over the next few shows. We'll tie it all together. So, if you haven't been watching Energy Contact for a while, today is a good day to dive back in because we're starting into new areas. We're about to be relating that pipeline, that invisible pipeline, to physical structure, to pleasure and pain, to attractions and repulsions. And we're setting the stage to discover more about the pipelines in us and the stuff that goes through them, and the crimps and the nodes that stop the stuff from going through them. So that's what we're talking about today. This sounds like a lofty goal. It's an introduction to the invisible pipelines that conduct energy flows and create everything from form to spirit. and that are created by everything, from form to spirit. Now, a million different people will respond to energy flows in a million different ways. What's good for one person is bad for another. We've seen that on energy contact. But still, there are some absolutes, some things that are good or bad for us all. All right, so we're going at blinding speed today. But now, let's everybody stop for a second. Take a big, deep breath. Close your eyes for a second if you're in a place where you can do that, because we have reached the part of our show where we get to take our virtual field trip, our journey in our mind's eye, like we do about this part of every show. And today, we get to visualize that you and I are in the woods in India. We're on a retreat of sorts, meditating and learning from great souls, very spiritual beings, swamis, gurus, yogis, mystics. And they're educating us, talking hours on end about the value of meditation and introspection, about the meaninglessness of the physical world, about the meaninglessness of the physical body. We're just in awe of their wisdom. And then they get up and they start doing yoga exercises. Very extreme, very athletic things. And we look and we realize, man, these guys are in great shape. But you say, hey, wait a minute, excuse me, but if the body is so meaningless, why are you spending so much time and so much energy keeping yourself in such good condition? One yogi looks around at you for a second and he says, hey, how can you meditate if your back hurts? Hold that thought. All right, after 50 programs, I have a special treat for you today. I guess it's high time that I told you guys the meaning of life, the purpose of it all, the reason for your existence in this world. And you're thinking, whoa, Joseph, that's what everybody wants to know. That's what people have wanted to know for centuries. That's a big question. Why haven't you answered that question before now? It's simple. You didn't ask. You still didn't, but today I'm going to tell you anyway. According to those old yogis, and we've seen that they're pretty smart dudes, the purpose of life, the meaning of it all, is to realize your true self, to realize what you've always been all along. That's it. We're done. We can all go home now. But you're thinking, hey, wait a minute. What do you mean by that? Thanks a lot, smart guy. What do those words, true self, what you've always been all along, that doesn't mean anything to me? Well, what's worse than that is I'm not going to tell you what you've always been all along. You're going to have to figure that out all by yourself. But I will tell you how to do that. You ready? Here goes. In order to discover the real, first, you have to weed out the unreal. In order to do that, you got to turn down the noise, turn down the chatter, all the worldly distractions. You got to get rid of them somehow.